What is the significance of the rapture and what does it entail? Welcome to the call. So joining me on the call today is Dray Hill, the producer of the Rapture Chronicles and the creator of the new album Flow. Also joining us are two actresses from the Rapture Chronicles, Billie Bates and Staffy Blakely. Please be sure to stay to the end of this interview for a word of encouragement. Dray, girls, welcome to the call.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes, me too.
I'm so excited that you're here, and we're going to be blessing some people out there, and they're so excited to see you and to know a little bit more about this ministry. Dray, you produced a series that's been running for 3 years called the Rapture Chronicles. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
And it's just short stories of people that are not expecting the return of Christ, and many refuse, but some embrace, right?
Right, that's correct.
So what inspired you to write the Rapture Chronicles?
Before I actually came to the Lord, the first book that I ever read in the Bible, and I don't know why, but the first book I ever read in the Bible was the book of Revelation. As I was going through, towards the middle and the end, and I was seeing all the things that, that's going to happen, I was thinking, I do not want to be here, when all that was going on. And so I started asking the question, so how can I miss this? How can I not be here? And so that's what kind of drew me in to begin to seek God, and actually go to church and find out more about, what was the plan, and how could I be in the right side of the plan. So from that point on, the rapture was something that always held on to me, and I had friends and family that, I began to talk to them about the Lord. When you first get saved, everything is like, hey, you need Jesus, you need Jesus. And so some of those people began to some of them died, and it made me feel like, what could I do to cause people to realize the reality, of eternal, life, on one side or the other. Yeah. And so, to make a long story short, I started writing a novel. I actually finished it. It was about the rapture, and as I was writing it, I wanted to do a movie about it, but I just felt it was too big, so I just kind of just left everything alone. Beginning of 2018, the thought came to me again about a movie, and so my Lord was saying, I want you to deal with the rapture, and I was thinking the novel that I wrote, it was too big, so then the Lord, he told me, he said, well, just break it up in pieces, and just deal with this particular person's what they might have dealt with, and things like that. And so that's how it began to form into short stories, and Lord would give me a story, and I just began to write on it, and I didn't know who was going to do what. I had some experience with working in the film industry, but this is my first time actually stepping out with my own ideas, and the Lord, he just put it together. He brought the right people in with the right, talents, and some people I knew from before, and then some people I had never met before, and God just did.
Yeah. I love the format that you use. It almost reminds me of, I can't think of the show, but you are like, when you come in at the end, I think it's the end and beginning, right? You shift to the side in black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's so cool. I don't know if it's like, something from back in the 60s or.
Yes, Twilight Zone.
It's that's it.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm thinking Twilight Zone, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. So I'm like watching him go, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's really making what he's saying, he's making an impact on me. I mean, I'm really paying attention at that point because you're explaining what the character had just gone through.
Mm-hmm.
And what to expect. And so I love that. So I want to ask you, what did the idea for the characters, how did they come about?
what the Lord did is came up with a problem. He gave me a problem that a person might face, you know, and so the very first episode I was dealing with the subject, and as I was writing it, I didn't know that I was, that the Lord was putting it together like this until I looked back. And so the subject was church hurt, or what it's called, that's what they call it now. The problem was this young lady, she was in church as a teenager, and then something happened in the church that caused pain to her, and she left. Yeah. And so I wanted to be able to put she's the middle person, she's the subject, and then I wanted to put someone on the far other side that used to be wild and crazy, and because of their testimony, they came to the Lord. And then on the other side, this person that's always been in the middle, I heard about it, but I don't really know about it. I don't really care about it. With each episode, it always starts with a focal person or a focal problem. And then from there, the characters began to build around there. And that's how the Lord has been doing it.
That's great. I love the two characters here, the two ladies that are on Billie. As I said before, you were, a rigid supervisor, and you didn't really want to know about the Lord, so what was the challenging part of that for you?
I think probably the most challenging part of it was that I had to play an unsaved person, which I'm very much saved, thank you, Lord. And as such, I think that my character was analytical, which I can relate to, and needing control, like probably having control issues, and wants to see things right in front of her, wants to see proof.
Yeah.
The physical in front of her. And, I think I had gone through earlier in my life of those different phases, needing control. I've had my control issues. I'm very, very analytical. So I think I did naturally, I think a lot of actors do this, naturally self into it in that way. But I don't know. I think it just shows us, and I love the idea behind the series, because Dray finds so many diverse slices of life. And here's a construction worker. That's a different or a different little pocket of life to explore. But I think it's just relating to all of us. We all are a combination of different things. And if you can watch an episode and you can relate to something like, oh, yeah, I'm a little bit perfectionist myself, or whatever, then we're really touching people and making this real. We're pressing to them the point that, yes, this is something that is going to happen. This is not about some mythological thing in a book somewhere. This is something we know as truth, and we want to impress upon you that it is truth. And so I hope that I've somewhat communicated that. I think, to get back to the answer to your question, I think it was a little hard to be so hard in the episode. I don't want to be so hard. And I'm like, it's not really someone I would even want to talk to, and that probably was the most challenging part of it, is just trying to be someone else that I did not see as a very nice or appealing person.
Yeah. The obstinance, right? Someone who's obstinate. That's what I was thinking. Now, Staffy, you did the last one, the last Chronicle. So talk about that role.
First of all, again, thank you for having me, Miss Nancy. I appreciate it. And especially thank you, Dray, for even thinking enough about me to have me in such a role. I played in the Countdown. That was the name of our episode. It was called The Countdown. And it was a sensitive kind of thing at the end of the day, because we dealt with a baby, a young lady that was having a baby who was my daughter. I played the mother. I was an old school mother, and I didn't have a problem screaming at the girls and making sure that my grown daughter did what I said do, kind of thing. I was kind of obnoxious, kind of raunchy. And what I love is Dray gave us a script, but he allowed us to stretch it and to be really creative with it. And I thought a lot was going to be cut out, but he kept a lot of what I did. Thank you, Dray. I appreciate that. So we dealt with a baby shower. We were my daughter's baby shower and all her friends. And so coupled with us talking about the rapture, what I love about what he does is there's always a plot. There's always something going on. And we got a chance to deal with a sexual abuse situation that happened as well with the daughter. And the mother never knew anything really about it. And she came out with what had happened in her life. And then the actual shower, everybody's excited about a baby shower, gifts and cakes and balloons and things like that. And lo and behold, it's where it happened. So it just proves that we can be at a construction site. We can be anywhere. We can be at a baby shower. And Jesus Christ is soon to make his return. And it just, it really hit because I think the church does not talk about the rapture enough. We talk about prosperity. We talk about everything else, and we'll throw this one line out as, he's coming back soon, but we kind of leave it right there. Nobody really digs deep into this thing that's really going to happen. And to see all the events that are happening in the world, that's really signs that he's really coming back. It's closer because my grandmother said it, my great grandmother said it, her mother, but the four of us sit here and see the crazy stuff that's happening in the world. And we say, oh my goodness, he's really got to be close now.
And, that brings me to Dray. Dray, the rapture, and maybe you girls could chime in to the rapture. What is the rapture? And, because maybe somebody doesn't know what the rapture is. They know that Jesus will come, but what does that mean to anybody?
But I would get emails or should I say responses from people around the world. And so one of the questions that was asked of me is exactly what you just said. What is the rapture? And so that inspired me. The Lord is just about completed. It is a seminar that deals with the rapture, and it's called "It's Going to Happen." And so what we do in this seminar is we actually talk about the rapture. We give definitions, for it, and how it's translated, in the Bible to the catching away, so that people can understand, what it's about. And then we'll go through an episode, and then we will begin to identify, hopefully help people identify with one of the characters, and then ask the questions. So what caused this person to miss the rapture? Can you see what has caused them to miss it? And then we have scriptures that kind of go along with that, so that they can understand, oh, okay, now I see. And then on the other side, show what this other person, they were ready, and what scriptures did they line up with to prepare them. So with each episode, that is a PowerPoint presentation that's been, put together so that people can know what is the rapture, and can they identify where they are. Can they evaluate, this is where I am, so this is where I need to be, or this is where I am, so I can strengthen where I am. So
thank you, Dray. So girls, what is your take on it?
I think, something that Staffy said really struck a chord with me, because I was raised in a traditional organized religion, fairly conservative, I would say. And I don't think we ever talked about the rapture either. I'm thinking back, and I remember the pastor one sermon quoting from the book of Revelation, which I absolutely loved. Really, really fascinates me. I love I could just read it over and over and over. But I remember the pastor one Sunday in a sermon quoting from the book of Revelation, the part where he's talking about the seven churches, and he talks about Laodicea, and he says, you're lukewarm, you're neither hot or cold, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. I do remember one sermon where he touches on that. but not in the context of Christ's coming or the rapture or anything like that, but just in relating it to our modern times. And so we really did not get into the details of that. And maybe that's a large part of the reason that I've always found the book of Revelation so fascinating is that I feel like I got very little instruction on it. And then when I lived in Northern Michigan years ago, I became friends with a family from another denomination that made a very, very large study of the book of Revelation and the end time events. And I learned so much. I attended their seminars and sat under their teaching for a while and really learned a lot and really got to do a deep dive in that. So I'm thankful for that experience too. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there, they see the word rapture and they think something else. They don't think of the rapture of the church like we do. And so it's an educational process. And I think what Dray is saying, really resonates with me too, that, and what you're saying, Nancy, too, is that sometimes we have to step back and say, okay, what is the rapture? And hopefully we make that very, very clear.
Yeah, because when you think about it in what Dray is portraying every time at the end, snap, flow's gone, flows down.
Yep.
It's gone. Where'd that person go?
Done.
Right?
Yep.
Gone. And so
everybody's so shocked. Yeah.
Yes. So Staffy, what do you think about this whole thing?
Well, and I'm like, Lord, forgive me right now, just in case the next moment, he shows up and I want to make sure that I'm ready, so God, forgive me right now. If anything I done, said or thought it was not like you, forgive me. Because when we talk about this, it's a moment.
It is.
And it's an unfathomable moment. And nobody really wants to believe that this God that we're serving, we go to church Sunday to Sunday all the time. And most people can't believe that really in the moment of a twinkling of an eye, that's quick. I do not have time to do the sinner's prayer that fast to make sure that I make it in. Yeah. And so it's a moment. And even in the role that I did, the last one, we got to the last scene and we couldn't believe it. People were talking about it and it had happened. And we were all gathered around the TV because somebody had recorded it. And we got a chance to really see the people disappear. It shook something in me because this is going to happen. So what Dray has created is really for the people who are going to be left behind. Mm. That they can, because somebody's going to be on the internet searching to see what was that? What is this that is taking place? Where's my loved one? Yeah. And these episodes will be able to come up. Every facet that he's talking about, somebody will experience it on that day.
Yes.
So to think about, first of all, we as saints of God, we're excited that he's coming back to rescue us out of this chaotic world, which is the end all be all. It's what I'm living for, to walk on the streets of gold and to see God face to face. This rapture thing is our mode of conveyance to get us there.
Yeah.
How are we going to get there? I know some will die, some will rise, but how are we going to get there? And the quickest way we're going to get there is that in this moment, in the twinkling of an eye, guess what? I'm going to really be like him. Yeah. And so movies like this, and I just went through the internet and people are starting to talk about it. But like everybody has said, and I've always said, even as a kid, we go all the way to the end of the Bible and we get to Revelation. Nobody wanted to tackle it.
Yeah.
It was too much. I don't know if it was too much, but now we're starting to see things come to pass that's really happening. And now people are starting to talk about it.
It's ramping up out there. And what you remember what Jesus said, like peace and safety, right? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden people will think, oh, that rapture isn't going to happen. But guess what? Dray and you both are leaving something behind for someone who may have to say, I'm going to have to choose. Either I'm taking the mark or I'm going to be with Jesus. And this is why we do this, right? So we can leave behind something for those who are lost and need to be found by, they need to be found, So how wonderful is all of this? It's so great, right?
Yes,
so,
yes.
So, So, Dre, why is it important for people to know about the salvation of Jesus?
We don't want anyone to be lost. The Lord came so that we all can be saved. It is God's desire that no one perishes. And so, because we are a part of God's family, that should be our desire, that no one perishes. This event called the rapture is going to happen. And I think sometimes, scripture, of course, scripture alone can let us know that. But I think sometimes we just need some type of tool that would give us a better picture of what the scriptures are saying. And so that was the purpose of the Rapture Chronicles, is to give people a shocking, eye-opening picture of how it could happen. Mm-hmm. And so we don't have all the details of that, but we do know it's going to happen. And that's what we keep pushing. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Dre, how can they find out about the Rapture Chronicles and more about you?
Church House Productions. That's the starting point. Mm-hmm. And you can find it, all the information on there, or YouTube at The Rapture Chronicles. Wonderful. Or also on Facebook, Dray Hill, Dray Hill. And okay. All that information is on there.
Okay, wonderful. Billie Ray, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, on my Facebook, just by my three names, Billie Ray Bates. I also I'm a longtime writer, so I've got some books out there, and I have a domain that's called BillieRay.com. So if you go there, you can contact me through that as well.
Wonderful. Staffy?
Staffy Blakely. I am probably the only Staffy you're going to know. I don't know anybody else with that name. My mama had a moment.
I love it. I love it.
But you can find me on Facebook with Staffy Blakely. Or you can go to staffyb.com and you'll see Staffy B Enterprises. You can get me in either of those two places. And Instagram, the name is the same all across the board.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining me today. And may God bless this ministry and really, really, it's such a praise to have something to leave this wonderful tool behind. Are you prepared for the coming of Jesus? Because he tells us in Matthew 24:36-41, but about that day or hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark, and they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field. One will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding with a handmill. One will be taken and the other left. What is your decision? God speaks to you every day. Are you listening to the call?